The sounds of traffic hum faintly from the streets below. The city stands tall, its glass towers reflecting the morning sun. Inside the sleek, modern walls of Grayson Financial Group, employees move with precision, their voices low, their eyes focused. Among them walks Maya Bennett, poised, confident, yet distinctly aware of the invisible barriers around her. She tightens her grip on a portfolio, filled with reports proving her value, her leadership, her undeniable impact. Today is the day. 10 years of hard work. Today she takes her seat at the table. Maya approaches the conference room. Her colleagues, all men, glance at her, some with indifference, others with barely concealed amusement. She knows this look. She's seen it before. But today, she refuses to let it shake her. Inside the boardroom, Richard Coleman, the CEO, leans back in his chair, fingers laced together. His smile is tight, unreadable. The air in the room is still, thick with unspoken truths. Maya, steady, determined. Thank you all for your time. Over the past 5 years, my division has increased revenue by 38%, outperforming projections quarter after quarter. We've expanded client portfolios and optimized risk management, saving the company millions. I believe these results demonstrate my readiness for a leadership role at the executive level. She pauses, scanning the faces in the room. Some look at their phones, others exchange silent glances. Coleman remains unreadable. She pushes forward. Maya, I've developed a strategic plan to increase our market presence while improving internal operations. With the right leadership in place, we can... Coleman, cutting her off, smirking slightly. Let's be realistic, Maya. Silence. Her pulse quickens. She already knows what's coming. Coleman, leaning forward, voice smooth, practiced. Black women don't make good leaders. It's just the way it is. You're talented, don't get me wrong, but let's not pretend you're what this company needs at the top. The words settle into the air, heavy, suffocating. The room is silent. No one speaks. No one challenges him. Maya's grip tightens around her portfolio. She wills herself not to react, not here, not in front of them. Coleman leans back again, the conversation already over in his mind. Coleman, of course we appreciate your hard work. Keep doing what you're doing and there will always be a place for you here. A place, but never at the top, never where she belongs. Maya stands outside the boardroom. The hallway feels longer than before, the fluorescent lights harsher. The sound of casual office chatter rings hollow. She looks down at the portfolio. In her hands, numbers, achievements, years of dedication, all reduced to nothing in a matter of seconds. For a moment she wavers. Maybe this is it. Maybe she was foolish to believe she could break through a system designed to keep her out. But then something shifts. She straightens her spine. The E. Doubt, the humiliation. It doesn't belong to her, it belongs to them. She isn't leaving, she isn't breaking. If they won't give her a seat at the table, she'll take the whole damn boardroom. Back in her office, the door clicks shut behind her. She exhales, pressing her palms flat against the desk. The tears threaten, but she refuses to let them fall. Not for this, not for him. She pulls out a notebook, flips to a clean page, and writes 3 words in bold, unshakable letters. This isn't over. Maya, staring at her desk, absent-mindedly running her fingers over the edges of a closed folder, softly to herself. Black women don't make good leaders. She exhales sharply, closing her eyes. The words replay, looping in her mind like a broken record. Coleman's smirk, the dismissiveness, the way no one else in the room spoke up. The weight of 10 years, 10 damn years, dismissed in seconds. Her phone buzzes. A message from HR, generic, routine, business as usual. As if her world hadn't just tilted. She grips the edges of her desk, grounding herself. She can't break, not here, not now. Around her the office hums, phones ring, keyboards click. No one looks at her, or rather, no one wants to look at her. A few co-workers steal glances, some with pity, others with thinly veiled relief that it wasn't them in that room. And then there are those who don't even try to hide their indifference. She meets the gaze of Eric, a fellow manager, one who's never had to fight for a seat at the table. He shifts uncomfortably, then quickly looks away. The silence, Around her isn't just uncomfortable, it's intentional. Survival over solidarity. She's alone in this fight. Again. Maya presses a number into her phone, her hands still trembling. After a few rings, a familiar voice answers. Diane, calm, knowing. I was wondering when I'd hear from you. Maya, shaky exhale, forcing out a dry laugh. You knew? Diane. I know how this story goes, Maya, and I know how it feels. Pause. What did he say? Maya, jaw tightening. Black women don't make good leaders. A pause. Deep, weighted silence. Diane, voice even, but laced with an edge. I heard those words once. Different office, different man, same poison. Maya, voice cracking slightly. And what did you do? Diane, I didn't let them win, and neither. Will you? Maya closes her eyes, letting Diane's words sink in. A small ember inside her flickers. Not quite a flame, but something close. Maya sits in the next meeting, hands folded neatly in her lap. The men around her speak freely, exchanging ideas, most of them half-formed, rushed. Ideas she'd voiced weeks ago, only to be ignored. Greg, a colleague, speaks up. Greg, I was thinking, what if we restructure the investment strategy to include more short-term liquidity solutions? It could increase client flexibility. Maya stiffens. Her idea, one she presented last quarter. Coleman, nodding approvingly. That's an interesting take, Greg. Let's explore that further. A sharp bitterness rises in her throat. She wants to speak, to remind them who first suggested it, but she doesn't, because she knows how it goes. Later that afternoon, another project is reassigned, one that was hers. She catches the wary look of a black junior analyst across the GIA room. He quickly looks away, pretending to type. This is how the system survives, through silence, through complicity. At night, she forces the mask to stay in place. She works later than everyone else, producing flawless reports, staying ahead of every deadline. Yet still she is unseen, still she is not enough. She catches her reflection in the office window, eyes tired, expression unreadable. She doesn't even recognize herself. She swallows down the exhaustion, the doubt, the whispering thought creeping in. Maybe I should just leave. A long night. A late hour. The office is quiet, save for the low hum of a printer and the distant ringing of an unanswered phone. Maya stretches her arms, eyes heavy. She glances at her laptop screen, preparing to shut it down when something catches her eye. A spreadsheet, a report, a number that doesn't make sense. She frowns, clicking through files, tracing the figures back to their source, and then realization strikes hard. A mistake, a big mistake. One buried in the company's financials, one tied directly to Coleman. She sits back, stunned, heart pounding. This isn't just an oversight, this is catastrophic. Her mind races. She has two choices. Expose it and risk everything. Risk retaliation, risk losing her job, risk being right and still being punished for it, or stay silent. Let someone else find it, walk away before the system devours her whole. She exhales, and then, slowly, a smile tugs at her lips. Maya, whispering, almost amused, they don't see me as a leader? Let's see how they feel when I save their company from itself. Maya, standing near the conference table, fingers pressed against the cool surface, heart steady but ready for battle. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. I want to bring your attention to something critical, an oversight in our financials, that if left unaddressed could result in catastrophic losses. A few board members glance at one another. Some lean back, unconcerned. Others glance at Coleman, awaiting his reaction. Coleman, smirking, arms crossed. You're exaggerating. I'm sure whatever you think you found can be explained. Maya, firm, unmoving. No, sir, it can't. The numbers don't lie. She clicks a button on the presentation screen. Spreadsheets appear, graphs, numbers, unforgiving facts. Maya, I traced back a pattern of unreported losses over the last 2 years. At first they seemed negligible, but when you follow the trail, you see how they accumulate. We're looking at millions lost, hidden behind creative accounting. The source? Turning slightly, eyes locking onto Coleman. Your division. Silence. A heavy, suffocating stillness. Board member 1 adjusting his glasses, studying the numbers, voice uncertain. Is this accurate? Board member 2 frowning, flipping through reports. These figures, this isn't a simple miscalculation, murmurs. Begin. Some skeptical, others shifting toward concern. Coleman's jaw tightens. His smirk falters. Coleman, forcing a chuckle, shaking his head. This is absurd. A mistake at best. You're blowing this out of proportion. Maya, unwavering, controlled. No, I checked, double-checked. These discrepancies weren't accidental. A beat, letting the weight of her words settle. The losses were deliberately concealed to keep investors in the dark. The room turns. Board members lean in. Phones are pulled out. Eyes scan documents. The numbers are there. Clear. Undeniable. Board. Member 3, stern brows furrowed. Mr. Coleman, you need to explain this. Coleman sputtering, shifting in his seat. This is nothing but an ambitious woman trying to make a name for herself. That's all this is. Maya, voice steady, measured. You're right about one thing. I am ambitious. And I am making a name for myself. Not by deception, but by doing what's right. The whispers start small, then grow, then spread. Outside. The boardroom? Executives take calls, investors hear the news, stocks shift. Emails flood in. Board member 4, leaning forward, steepling his fingers. This could damage our credibility with shareholders. The fallout could be severe. Board member 5, gritting his teeth, glancing at Coleman. And who will they blame? For it? Coleman, red-faced, slamming his hand on the table. This is exactly why we don't put women like her in leadership. Gasps. The words land like a slap. A sharp intake of breath. Eyes widen. A few executives lower their heads. No one speaks. No one moves. Maya stands still. No flinch. No reaction. Just the calm, steady presence of a woman who has been waiting for this moment. Maya, quiet but razor-sharp. Thank you for proving my point. The silence is broken by the chair of the board clearing his throat. Board chairman, voice cold firm. Effective immediately, Mr. Coleman. You are relieved of your duties. Coleman's head snaps toward him. Coleman, stammering, voice frantic. You. Can't do this. I built this company. Board chairman, unmoved, unwavering. And now we'll rebuild it without you. Security enters. Coleman is still speaking, still shouting, but no one listens. Maya watches, not with triumph, not with satisfaction, but with quiet certainty. It was never about him. It was about what came next. Board chairman, turning toward Maya, considering. Her nodding slightly. You've done this company a great service today. Board member 2, leaning forward, a thoughtful look in his eyes. Ms. Bennett, we need a leader who can rebuild trust, someone who understands integrity and leadership. Board chairman, meeting Maya's gaze, firm and final. Ms. Bennett, we'd like to offer you the role of CEO. A beat, a heartbeat. A moment she never thought she'd live to see. Maya, steady yet breathless, hands resting on the table as she exhales deeply. I accept. Maya, walking through the lobby, her heels clicking against the marble floor, head high, gaze steady, softly to herself. They see me now. Whispers trail behind her. Some are filled with admiration, others with resentment. The same colleagues, who once dismissed her, now watch with cautious curiosity. A few nod, offering quick congratulations. Others avert their gaze, suddenly fascinated by their coffee cups. Assistant, rushing up, slightly out of breath. Ms. Bennett, the board is waiting for you upstairs. Maya, offering a calm nod. I won't keep them waiting, then. She steps into the elevator, doors closing behind her. She exhales, pressing a hand lightly against her stomach. The weight of what this moment means settles in, but so does a quiet, undeniable sense of victory. Inside the executive office, the air is still. The chair, the one where Coleman once sat, where he once dismissed her, stands empty, waiting. Maya takes a slow, deliberate seat. Her fingers rest against the armrests. The chair doesn't reject her, it doesn't question her authority. It is hers now. Maya, whispering, as if testing the words on her tongue, CEO Maya Bennett. A pause, then the smallest of smiles. A few knocks at the door. It opens. Employees filter in, some confident, some hesitant. Faces she's known for years, faces that never quite acknowledged her before today. Employee 1, offering a handshake, somewhat stiffly. "Congratulations, Ms. Bennett, well deserved." Employee 2, muttering, barely making eye contact. "Yeah, congrats." She locks eyes with Greg, the man who once stole her ideas in meetings without a second thought. He clears his throat, nods once, then turns away. No apologies, no admissions. But today he has nothing to say. The meeting room fills. Employees stand in clusters, waiting, watching. Some hopeful, some skeptical. Some simply trying to gauge which way the wind is blowing. Maya steps forward. No podium, no pretense, just her. Maya, voice even, unwavering. "I won't waste your time. You all know who I am. You know the work I've done, the battles I've fought to be here. What you don't know is what happens." Next, a hush falls over the room. Some glance at one another, waiting. Maya, steady, looking each person in the eye. "This company has spent years operating under the illusion of fairness, but we know the truth, don't we? We know who gets the promotions, who gets the biggest clients, who gets to sit at the table while others are told to be grateful just to be in the room." A murmur spreads. Not discomfort, recognition. Maya, letting silence stretch, then continuing. Voice measured. "I won't pretend that one leadership change will fix what's broken. But what I can promise is this. From today forward, no one will be dismissed because of their race, their gender, or because they don't fit the mold of what leadership is supposed to look like." A few nods, a shift in the air. The first. Cracks in old barriers. Maya firm clear. No more favoritism, no more silencing voices that deserve to be heard. Leadership will be earned, not inherited. The rules will be rewritten, and this time they will be fair. A slow clap starts from the back, then another. A ripple effect, a movement beginning, one person at a time. Maya scans the room, and then she speaks not just to the company, but to those who have been overlooked, those who have stayed silent to survive. Maya, softer but powerful. "I know what it feels like to be dismissed, to be told in words and in actions that you don't belong, but you do. We do." A pause, then with quiet force. "And I challenge you. Step forward. Take up space." The energy shifts. A few employees straighten their backs. Some nod. Some, hesitant at first, feel the stirrings of something unfamiliar. Hope. The meeting ends. As Maya steps away, security moves past her. She doesn't turn around. She doesn't have to. Coleman is escorted out, his voice low, his arrogance now nothing more than a memory. No defiance, no last words, just a quiet exit, a chapter closing. It was never just about his departure. It was about the end of an era that no longer had a place here. Back in her office, Maya exhales. The weight of it all finally settles. She didn't just win for herself. She won for every woman who was told she wasn't good enough. For every employee who feared losing everything just for speaking up. For those who never got the chance to fight. She looks out at the city skyline. It looks different now. Not just buildings, not just glass and steel, but possibilities. Maya. Softly to herself, a quiet smile forming. This is just the beginning.